How did a consulting firm increase landing page output by 6x and campaign conversions by 7.5%? Let's talk to their team and find out in this episode of Closing Time. Thank you so much for tuning into Closing Time, the show for go-to-market leaders. I'm Melinda Prescher, Senior Director of Product and Customer Marketing at Unbounce and Insightly. And today I have the pleasure of hosting a very special customer edition of Closing Time with Viva, a consulting firm that matches top remote executive assistants with senior leadership. I'm joined by Dania Maduro, Senior Executive Assistant, and Desiree de Leon, Organic Growth Manager from the Viva team. Dania and Desiree, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Thank you. Yes.
So, Desiree, let's start with you. Can you briefly tell us about Viva?
Yes, that's one of my favorite questions that you're going to ask today, I think. Think of Viva as a strategic productivity partner for busy leaders. Viva delivers the highest quality, most proactive virtual executive assistants, intensely trained, fiercely proactive, and ready to hit the ground running. We handle everything: hiring, onboarding, coaching, and everything in between. So all you have to do is delegate.
And Dania, what challenges were you and the team facing before you started using Unbounce?
So in those very early days of Viva, before we started using Unbounce, building landing pages was one of those bigger bottlenecks that we had. Whenever we wanted to spin up a new page, that meant that we had to go through contracted developers, which, as we know, tends to be expensive and a slow process. So it would sometimes take as much as 8 weeks just to get a single page live. And in the startup world, where you do have to move a little bit quickly, that could lead to missed opportunities just because we were taking so long in creating those pages. And of course, costs would add up over time. Ultimately, I think we were spending on average around thousands of dollars per page just through those contracted developers that we were using. So ultimately, we knew that we needed something that would be just a little bit faster, more cost effective, and would be flexible as we went through our different growth stages. And that's when we landed on Unbounce. And what stood out right away for us was the ease of use. It really gave us that independence and flexibility to spin up pages ourselves, make changes as we needed, and be able to run experiments without having to wait on anyone to get back to us or just be codependent on someone else's schedule. And as we were incorporating it a little bit more, we found different integrations that also made it simple to connect with the rest of our tool stack, and that saved us even more time. So now we can go through the landing page process a lot more quickly, and it's become a more agile part of our overall marketing stack.
Dania, I'd love to hear about how you and the team found Unbounce.
It was before I started on the team, actually, but I know that there was a lot of search between different competitors and things like that, and just different options in general. Most of what we were going with at that time was with contracted developers more specifically, right? And just to be able to handle some of the more ad hoc requests that we had at the time. But as Viva started gaining momentum and we needed to fill that pipeline a lot more consistently, then Unbounce was one of the first options that the team found at the time, and ultimately made the decision and went with it and have been running with it ever since.
Desiree, I'd love to have you talk about the metrics that you use to track your campaigns and the way that Unbounce has helped you improve your campaigns.
This is a great question. We are hyper-focused on the metrics that we use because we mostly care about growth. So leading indicators are the most important ones for us. We track visits, conversions. For us, these conversions are booked calls, and customer acquisition cost. Unbounce has helped us move faster and test more often without needing to rely on engineering. We've increased the number of landing pages that we've been able to deploy, and the output has increased at least by 6 times. And that, of course, will improve our campaign conversion rates for at least 7%. I would say that's a very conservative number because we've seen growth ever since. Whenever we are trying to track visits or conversions, it's something that we do very easily in Unbounce. We don't have to go through these large data sheets with this paths or channels or whatever. We can just log into Unbounce, check what our conversions are, and that's it. It makes it very simple, very fast. So we know that if a landing page is underperforming, we can just test something new. We can create a new one. We can just pause whatever it is that we're doing, or we can increase the efforts on that specific landing page that is performing well. And we can do everything super quickly. As Dania has already said, that's very important for a fast growing company. We don't want to wait. We want to see signal super quick and be able to respond to it as quickly.
Wonderful. Dania, I'd love to have you build on the concept of A/B testing. So I'd love to have you talk a little bit more about your experience with A/B testing, how many tests you're running at a time, and the benefit that it's brought to your business.
All right, awesome. So for us, A/B testing is essential to how we optimize our campaigns. As you might imagine, we speak to a lot of different audiences, from founders, operation leaders, people teams, and we have to have very specific and tailored messaging for each of those audiences specifically. So with Unbounce, we found it easy to be able to test variations upon the themes that already exist within our messaging and see a little bit more clearly what is it that actually resonates with each specific group. And that way, we've also been able to see what performance metrics are gauging at that time so that we can improve across all of our funnels. We'll also test things like overall page layout, just the messaging itself, something even as small as more specific wording on a CTA button. And those small tweaks are sometimes what drive the biggest impact for us. And just in being able to use Unbounce and make that process a lot more seamless, that allows us to run multiple experiments at once, like 2 to 3 at the same time for one specific campaign, so that we can see exactly what is working without having to slow down our campaigns. And overall, we get the result that we're not only improving conversions, but we're also reducing wasted spend, where every dollar is going a lot further, because we know that the version that we're putting in front of people is the more specific one that's going to be tailored to that audience. And those incremental wins over time add up and have a major impact in our marketing efficiency overall.
So, Dania, I'm so curious to know, too, if you can speak to how easy it is to now share information about results with the leadership team and what that's done to help you and your team.
Yes. So, I mean, having the results right there from Unbounce, it makes it super easy. Like, we have weekly syncs with our co-founder to be able to go through the specific results of whatever initiatives we're working on, and we can show which campaigns are progressing forward. We also have monthly syncs with the rest of our go-to-market team, and so we can speak to those numbers more clearly, since we have that visibility right then and there, to be able to share overall, like, what is the progress that we've been having and we've been seeing. And it makes it easy as well to break it down in more like layman's terms for them as well, if they don't have like that marketing background.
I love it. And you mentioned at the top of this conversation the fact that you'd been using agencies to do this work in the past. Now that you brought it in-house, essentially, how many team members are actually creating landing pages?
So we currently have 2 people on our marketing team. So that means, including Desi. So that means that the 2 of them are leveraging Unbounce right now to create the landing pages that they need.
Wonderful. Desiree, let's turn back to you. What other applications do you use to run your marketing campaigns, and how does Unbounce integrate with those tools?
Yes, well, we use CRMs, CMS, and we also use Notion for project management. We need to have everything fit seamlessly, which Unbounce does. We can build a form in our CRM, and then we can integrate it with Unbounce, and then we can publish it through our CMS, which is WordPress. And everything it's just like a buyer journey, completely seamless. A lot of people in the team don't even know that we use Unbounce as a different part of our CMS. And they just believe that everything is just so neatly put together that it seems like everything just worked into the one same workflow instead of using multiple tools. It's great to be able to use multiple tools because it gives us a lot of flexibility and a lot of capacity to go through a lot of things. So that's how we do it.
We know that Unbounce is really easy to use. Can you speak to any training that your team had to go to? How much do you prepare people before they start to learn about and use Unbounce?
This is another thing that I think Unbounce has done really well with our team, is that it doesn't require a lot to ramp up to the usage. I sort of inherited this task from a former colleague, and she basically just gave me access. And she said, okay, come on. I mean, she just gave me a walkthrough. This is where everything is. See ya. And that's it. And then I just went into it, and it was very intuitive to use. I think I've been to the help center maybe one time, and it has resolved an issue that I've had. So I've also seen our co-founder go into it, try to see whatever stats they are, and he's able to understand it a lot easier without a marketing background. So I think that it's pretty easy to use. I would say that the ramp up was almost immediate for us.
Fantastic. Dania, I'll turn back to you. Has there ever been a time when Unbounce has essentially come to the team's rescue? And what was the outcome?
For sure. So earlier this year, we actually had a situation where our career page went kaput, unexpectedly. And it was one of those run and try to figure out what's going on with all of the links and what is specifically causing the problem. And so instead of having to root down in our CMS and try to troubleshoot what was going on, we were able to find an old landing page in Unbounce, update it really quickly with all of the pertinent info, and then redirect traffic back to this page all within 10 minutes. And so it gave our recruiting team breathing room that we could rebuild the page without halting applications, as well as the marketing team breathing room that you didn't have to spend more time than that figuring out what went wrong within our CMS to begin with.
Anything else you'd like to share before we close out?
I would. I think that one thing that I really like about Unbounce is autonomy. Like in lean, high impact teams, being able to build, test, launch independently is huge, because we don't have to wait for to vet a freelancer, or maybe it's something that is working with us, but not like in a part-time basis. So being independent, it's a huge thing. It helps us move super fast, and we can collaborate with internal teams, external vendors. We can move faster, we can maintain momentum. So I think that autonomy is something that has direct impact on growth, and that I really appreciate about this tool.
Wonderful. We love to hear how customers are leveraging Unbounce to quickly launch campaigns and drive measurable results. If viewers want to learn more about Viva, where should they go?
So if you want to learn more about Viva, you can visit us on our website, execviva.com. You can also visit our page on LinkedIn under Viva, or you can book a call with us directly.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you both so much for joining us today. It was so great to hear your story, and really happy to hear how much Unbounce is able to help you in your business. And thank you so much to everybody for tuning in today. If you'd like to start a free 14-day trial of Unbounce's landing page builder, click the link in the show notes. We'll see you next week on Closing Time.